The things that we have in our heart that we think are impossible are often just milestones waiting to get accomplished if you can push those limits. Listen, everything was impossible until someone did it, so you can either hang around people that tell you it can be done or hang around people that inspire possibilities. Welcome to the Path to Unlimited, weekly interviews with entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, those that inspire possibilities. And I'm your host, Julian Marion. Welcome to the Path to Unlimited. I have an amazing guest today, Dr. Pei. Dr. Pei, welcome to the Path to Unlimited.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I just cannot wait, and I love the name of your show, and I love how you not only inspire, but also provide practical steps for people to walk that limitation, walk that path in their own lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It is, I'm really excited to share your story, because, like me, you were an immigrant in the United States. You started a business, as a dentist, and then you decided to go into podcasting, right? And I'm
Yes.
just like so excited to see, because you've started to really grow into, a leader, within a field. Podcasting is some of the stuff that you're doing. So I'm just really excited to kind of see like your perspective and some of the limitations that, you had to face and battle through.
Yes, my goodness. There are bigger limitations in my life, and sometimes, as you know, you don't know their limitations until you try to break through them. So, I'm excited to get started.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit more about you, right? If you were to describe yourself to someone that you meet, right, at an event, like what would you say? Say, hey, Dr. Pei, what do you do?
Yeah, I actually specialize in root canal, and I do that 2 days a week. The rest of the time, I'm a creative producer and co-host for a online radio show.
Awesome. And what is the radio show called?
The radio show I co-host with my husband is ReLaunch, called ReLaunch Show. Inspire people to, for their journey of change. But for myself, coming up, I'm actually launching a show for dentists.
Nice.
So yeah, just enjoying the creative time here.
That is, it's so, I know, especially as a dentist, people don't always like to go to the dentist.
No.
Right? It's never a fun time. Usually.
There's one exception. With my specialty, people can be scared to come because I do root canals, but there are some when they have so much pain with their tooth, they so look forward to the procedure so they can get relief. So yeah, it's two sides of it.
That's true. Because I'm originally from overseas. So I was born in Africa, then I moved to Belgium, then United States. And the one thing that I've seen in the United States is, in Europe, the medical system is much better, right? Like, let's say if you need to go to the dentist, it's not going to cost you as much as in the States. In the States, you have so many people that would not be able to afford to go to a dentist, right? And that's why you had like that market of just, at home, taking care of like your teeth at home pretty much, right? To numb the pain. And to me, it's been so huge to see people, because once you have a toothache, I mean, your life is miserable.
Yeah, that's all you can think of.
Yeah, you can do nothing. You move your head, you feel it. Whatever you do, it's just affecting the rest of your life.
It's like sometimes, if you don't mind me make an analogy there.
Sure.
Sometimes in life we can be in great health, we can be enjoying great family life, but a little bit maybe our career or business suffer, and that takes all our attention. So sometimes we can focus so much on pain and kind of just ignore everything else that's happening in our lives. So.
That is so true. That is so so true. So let me go into like I want to know, do you are you the kind of person that kind of has like a mantra or a go-to quote that kind of just like refocuses you on what you feel you were called to do?
For me, at there are different stages of my life. I possibly have different mantra because I walk through a few years that I have to find myself. At that time, I had to sit, be quiet, to listen, to trust myself, to listen to that voice. At this stage, I have to say, action brings clarity.
Mm.
Because after a while, after we look at, okay, what should I do next, or look at all the options, and in this, especially in this day and age, there's unlimited information you can find, and even if you don't search, there are tons of people around you on social media trying to give their opinions. And when it comes to a certain point, you're going to just have to say, you know what, I'm going to get started trying something. And that's going to help me take me to the next step. So for me, I can get analysis paralysis.
Yes, there's a yes, yes. I see that happening a lot, especially with entrepreneurs. And my wife, she's you can call her a perfectionist, right? So that
Yeah.
means she will freeze if it's not perfect, right? Because she keeps on doing it, it's not perfect, and she would just stop. Where I'm more of just an action taker. I will go and trying to fly a plane and then trying to build the engine, with one engine and trying to build the other engine while I'm flying, kind of guy. So
Yeah.
I totally relate to what you're saying. So are you a night owl or early bird?
I am a workaholic, so I can be both. Maybe not on the same day,
Mm-hmm.
but I am super flexible. I am very motivated. I always been that way. So that part I love. Maybe sometimes I do need to take a rest, and I'm not very good with that.
Yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs I think have that problem, right? When do I shut it down? And when
Yeah.
do I say, let me just like rest for, for a day or a weekend, because you just want to do more, and you feel like the
Yeah.
more effort I put in, the more I get back. Because as an entrepreneur, that's what you do, right? The more sometimes you put in, the more effort you put in, the more reward you're getting. So you constantly want to put effort, so I can get more rewards, and reach more people with my message and change lives. Do you have like a mental checklist that you do every day? Is it meditation, affirmation? Like what do you do, to kind of get yourself going?
For me, I came out with my own version of morning routine, which is extremely helpful. It can take about half an hour to an hour, depending on if I add a little bit reading in there or not. So besides being a dentist and a podcaster or business person, I'm also a yoga instructor. So
Cool.
yeah, I got into that. I'm not teaching it much, only to local dentists and to friends I know, and it's so I incorporate some poses in my morning routine. So it's kind of combining some Chinese medicine, yoga, and meditation. Meditate on gratitude, because certain days it can be hard. Just to be honest with you, these days we are in the middle of moving. It's exciting. We've been renting. We bought a new house, but everybody knows moving is painful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then one of our dogs going through cancer treatment, and watching him and not knowing what the next step is, and there are things that there are times that you can do all you can do and there are so many other things out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And there are loved ones in your life. It could be a pet, it could be a person that is going through things that you can't really help a whole lot. So I have to get my reset. I always sleep well. That's awesome, because no matter how just about all my life, no matter how much stuff going on, I always sleep well. But then when I wake up in the morning, I have to do my routine stretch, meditate on things I'm grateful for. And it's awesome that afterwards, I have a few steps, and more than just meditating on that. I try to read out loud, because I want my own ears to hear my own voice saying the truth. I feel creative. I feel better. And there are days that in the middle of the day, I may not feel as good anymore. And I have to be mindful. Don't allow myself to go down in my spirit, because you just can't feed that. I have to constantly remind myself.
I like that, reading out loud to let yourself hear yourself. I really do like that, because I know sometimes people are afraid of their own voice, and I know I teach fitness classes as well, and I tell people all the time, do not be afraid of your own breath, right? Like, breathe out loud, breathe in, exhale out. It's okay to hear your own breath, because most people, it's something about just hearing yourself. That it's like, I don't know if I want to. I want to read, in my head. I don't want to read out loud. But like you said, being able to hear yourself is, I remember one of the first podcast episode I recorded, to hear myself, it was weird, right? Like, it took me a little while to be able to say, okay, sit down, shut up, listen, because it's kind of uncomfortable, a little bit. But you learn a lot about yourself, by hearing yourself. So. That's
can
really
I tell you something?
Yes.
The ReLaunch show was not at all our first show. Joel has been podcasting for 7 years. We had many other shows. And a few years ago, I started a healthy living show on my own. And what's funny was it was like a 30-minute episode. And for the first few episodes, I spent like 4 hours to edit it. Just being extremely critical about how I pronounce things, because even now I'm possibly conscious about my accent, but back then a lot more. So I guess that's one of the limitations I have.
There we go. That's a great segue. So what are some of the personal limitations that you feel you've put on yourself, right? And you recognize them. Like, I know you just said one right now, right? And I know that English is not my first language, and sometimes I am, like, conscious about my accent, but nowadays I don't care anymore, right? I feel like that kind of just part of me allows me to be able to understand people with a sometimes thicker accent, right? So what are some of the limitations that you think you impose on yourself, and how did you conquer them?
Yeah, actually, one of the biggest one possibly associated with the first 2-3 years after I came to the States. So I was 25. I had my college training. I came here. At first, it's at that age of young and somewhat stupid. You didn't think a whole lot. And then when reality sets in, you realize that you really, or maybe it's just me, I felt like I didn't belong. And what hurts me the most at the time was not just I didn't belong, I had nothing to contribute. Because back home, when I was in China, I was in leadership. I was giving speeches. I was the president of the whole entire class. I graduated with honor. I had offers of one of the best hospitals in the city, and that's a huge metroplex but when I arrived here, even the basic living, I had to do a lot of asking, because that was not my strength, to ask for help. Because all my life I wanted to offer that, and I didn't know how to drive. I obviously couldn't afford a car, so I didn't even know how to buy stuff at a grocery store or order food from even McDonald's. I finally, I guess, learned how to say, just point and say number 1 or 2. And so I think I didn't know the definition for depression, but I possibly went through a certain level of that quite a bit the first few years. So that I told myself that because I thought that temporary condition was permanent. I thought at the time, because my language barrier and culture barrier, and not knowing what future holds for me, I thought that's my identity. I thought that's who I was. Instead, but I walked through that, of course. Every day, no matter how I felt, I did go forward a step. Sometimes, some days I felt better. Maybe I took 10 steps. Other days, it might a few steps back. But if I talk about how I walk through that, it just keep going, take one day at a time. There are lots of days I did not trust. But looking back, if I could tell myself back then, the lesson will be just, enjoy it. Just trust you're going to be all right.
That's true. So how did you change? How did you change
so
perspective?
seriously.
So I believe heavily in perspective, right? That if you change perspective, like you can literally change your world, right? Like me and my mindset is constantly action. It's constantly just I'm seeing opportunities. So for me, if I see a problem, I'm not seeing a limitation. I'm seeing a challenge, right? Like I'm saying, okay, this is a challenge. I might not be able to answer this challenge by myself. I might need a network to help me answer this. So, and at that point, like my world is changing, right? I say, okay, I might not have, let's say $5,000 that to pay bills next month, but I'm like, okay, so this is not a limitation, it's a problem. Okay, problem is I don't have this. Okay, so how do I get that, right? And I just changed my perspective. So how did you, change perspective on some of those, situations that you had?
I have to say it's gradual. Although I was in that situation I was, but my personality didn't change. I was very friendly. I'm still friendly. I had many great friends, and they show me things. I didn't have a whole lot of. I didn't spend lots of time just sitting at home, just feel sorry for myself. I guess that's one thing I did. I was able to reach out to people that I feel like is, maybe there's nothing I could offer, but at least I can offer my friendship. So they being around supported people at that time was super important for me, and they actually allow me to see the possibilities. And one of my mentors, she was the chair for my PhD committee. She was so essential during that time of my life. Not only she changed my perspective, she literally forced me to change my perspective.
That's a great friend.
Oh my goodness. I didn't call her a friend at the time because I felt like, my goodness, this is so hard working toward what she want me to work toward. Because she saw great things in me that I did not even think as possible. So it took people like my friends and my mentor like her to get me a step at a time to where I've eventually graduated. I was able to set up my practice within a couple years. But looking back, she was extremely instrumental in my growth. She pushed me. She allowed me to stand on her shoulders. I owe her so much.
Yeah, that I mean, just by the sound, of it, she has had such an impact on your life, which is we can always remember those people that made us feel uncomfortable. As I know now, you also a business coach, so I know that as a coach myself, we push people, we put them in situations they don't like to be in, but the reality is, that's what a coach is there for, right? Just like being able to reframe some stuff for you and show you potentials that you didn't know you had. I remember way back, I didn't even know what motivational speaking was, right? Because that wasn't my world until someone said, hey, you really motivated. You should be a motivated speaker. And I was like, what is a motivational speaker? I don't, but they allow you to see things because we don't know everything, right? And they allow you to really see things different angle, and therefore for you to maybe just, find your voice and change your perspective, which is so important to have. So you came to the United States in '98. We know you had that language barrier. Your teacher allowed you to really change your perspective. Then you started your practice, right? Along that time, did you had any kind of limitations that other people try to impose on you, just to say, hey, you can't do this because of that? Did you have any of those that people really trying to come in and just put you in a box or just put barriers around, like you can't go here. This is where you need to be.
That's interesting. I don't remember a whole lot of them. A few, maybe in my life. I always been a positive person and a little bit on the fighter side. So if somebody tell me this is possibly not for you, but inside I believe I could, I'm not the kind of person to argue or discuss or try to convince. I just go ahead, do what I believe is gonna be possible for myself.
Nice, rebellious, just a little bit.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, just for you to move from China to the United States, I'm pretty sure you had to be to some extent rebellious to say, I'm just gonna go and try this out. Like I feel like I'm called to go there, so let me just go there, regardless of what you guys say.
I'm afraid you nailed that. You really nailed it. I was extremely rebellious. I guess it's good and bad side about everything. But there was one time, I guess at that time I was not as confident about myself. When you're weaker, when your immune system's weaker, the disease, your body can get sick easier. So same thing mentally at that time of my life, I was not strong. I was not as confident about myself. And somebody made a comment that I possibly could never be profitable as a practitioner because I was way too slow.
Wow.
But, I was new. So that hurt me greatly. And I possibly cried over it many times and thought maybe that's true. But obviously, I had a great practice for 8 years. I enjoyed great profit. So but thinking back, I have to remind myself, if something happens, like somebody says that not about the same thing to me, I have to remind myself, is that true? I have to ask that question. Because I also chose, I have to forgive that person because he did not say that to hurt me. He had a reason that's his limitation, that he said that to me at the time.
That's you. I mean, you nailed it. I think a lot of the time those limit. Oh, let me just play this one. Well, we're gonna edit that one out. Although it's supposed to be on Do Not Ring. I'm at the business right now when nobody is here, so let this one ring.
No worries. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Are
funny.
you at your office or home?
No, I'm actually, I don't know if you know, but I own a dance and fitness studio that my wife and I started, 3 years ago. And after she was kind of like let go from a job she started in
Yeah.
December, January, we started looking at, just like starting a business, And April, we signed a commercial lease. August, we opened doors. So 8 months from the time that she was let go from that job, then from the time where we started a new business, which was less than a year, and it was extremely, extremely fast. Most people we were talking about it, like, and they found out that we started. They're like, "You started already?"
Wow.
Especially having I'm pretty sure like now with Joel, just doing anything with your significant other, it's challenging because you guys see things differently, right? But
Indeed.
whenever you have a brick and mortar business, and us, we deal with a lot of parents because it's dance and it's fitness. Yeah, there's a lot. We have 3 kids under 6 now. So at the time, it's 3 kids under 5. So there's a lot of just dynamic that has to change. A lot of just little stress that you have within couple and irritations. But as long as love is there, you can fight through through all that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Love
Okay.
it. Love it.
So totally forgot where we were at, but I know we are really
I
close
was
to the end.
talking about forgiving that person because of his own limitations.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
now. Yes, I was saying. So a lot of times, people will try to put their own insecurity and fear on you, right? Like as parents, sometimes we're trying to put. I have 3 kids. We're trying to put our limitations on our kids, right? If we are afraid of talking to people, we might tell our kids, no, don't go talk to this person, because we are afraid that they might get rejected. But the reality is, like, we don't know if they actually are going to get rejected or will be accepted. So
Right.
I love what you said, that we should just like forgive them, because sometimes it's their own fear that they're trying to put on us. And as soon as we now fight those fear and accomplish those goals, then now they're looking at it like, oh wow, I didn't know you could actually have a business, for example, hosting a podcast. I didn't know that you
Right.
could get paid this much speaking. I thought you need to just spend a whole lot of hours doing work, and that's how you make a living. So, I think once you do that, and now you open doors even for your own circle of influence, for them to see, wow, like, I want to do what you do. I want to have the lifestyle that you have, because you open those doors for them to see what's possible.
Absolutely. And what's funny is when you mentioned that, obviously, when I sold the practice last year, it was somewhat big news locally. Um, First of all, I work with lots of dentists. They refer business to me, and I absolutely love them. It was a tough decision. And I stay locally. I stay in the same practice working as a contractor. And then the other thing that surprised them, obviously, I'm way young to quote unquote retire.
Yeah.
I'm by no means retiring. I'm just, want to live and work a little differently. So it's very interesting having conversations with other dentists these days when they look at what I do, and seeing me able to enjoy some time to do my creative work. So yeah, it's but I think another limitation, if you don't mind me sharing this real quick,
No, go ahead.
was even when I was having this great practice and extremely profitable, I didn't believe I was a great leader. And after I walked out, looking at my accomplishment, looking at hearing what the staff said about me, and it just dawned on me, I was great at leadership. It was because it was intuitive. It was natural to me, and I didn't give much credit. So I have to, I feel like I owe God an apology
Mm-hmm.
that I kept pushing away and said, "Oh no, that's I I'm not that great." But instead, he's like, "Look at the results. Look at what you created." So, um,
Yeah, that reminds me of the imposter syndrome, right? Like a lot of time you ask yourself, like, who am I to trying to, do this? And I remember the first time I was put in a position to teach adults, college courses. Obviously, I'm very confident in myself, but still, being in that position, sometimes you can ask yourself, like, who am I to trying to teach them something? For
yeah,
example, but the reality is, if you have passion over knowledge and you can present the information differently, then that's the only thing that people need. I mean, there's nothing new anymore, right? But the way that you present the same information, people will receive it because of the way that you present it, and it's kind of like you're not born a teacher, but when you teach, you become a teacher and you get better, get better at it.
I love it.
All right, so action plan. I know you're a coach, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
if like, what action plan would you give someone that is stuck and limiting themselves? Like, what would you tell them?
Well, here's the thing. Well, if somebody present to you say, "Guess what? I'm stuck." I have to tell you first. What's amazing is you came out. You sharing this with your coach now, because if you're really stuck, you're not moving anywhere. But if you feel, at least you have that awareness, at least you're reaching out. So you're taking a couple steps already, and kudos to you. The second, guess what? Let's identify. Um, it's very key to identify what is causing that discomfort, because there's times we feel like there's things we love and we want to walk toward, and there are other times is the things we hate that we want to walk away. But it's always, before you walk away the things you think you hate, look into who you are and what you really love, because I don't believe in there's so much saying about, oh, there's this job you hate, or just things that this freedom you ought to create, that you should just totally walk away from what you don't want anymore, either be a house or a situation or a relationship. Obviously, there are different scenarios, but I think it's with a coach, you do want to look into why am I having this discomfort? Where do I want to go? And what's in the current situation actually that's good, that is going to take me there? So, for example, I don't know how many of your audience are looking to transition into a business or a work they love and not liking where their current position is. If that's the case, start building relationship even in your current work or current family friend circle, to find that support, to get feedback about where you think you want to go. Am I making sense here?
Yes, you're absolutely making sense. I think the having the accountability and also seeing the people that are already where you want to go is very important in getting to that next stage. I think for myself, accountability has been the single most important tool I've used, to allow me to just push through some of those self-imposed limitations that I had, because someone else would just tell me. Even with John from Entrepreneur on Fire, same thing for him. Accountability. Al, same thing for him, for his book. Accountability. because people would, will allow you to just say, hey, you know what? You need to do this. You told me you're going to do it. And deep inside, we don't want to disappoint people, right? So it really allows us to, to get to that next stage for us. Mm-hmm. All right, so Dr. Pei, so we're coming to the end of our time together. 2 more questions, then we'll say goodbye. So what book would you recommend, to our listeners for, to kind of to allow them to break through some of those, self-imposed limitations?
Mm. There's one kind of personal growth / business book I really recommend to every person who want to grow, especially in their business and in their overall happiness. It's actually Thou Shalt Prosper by a rabbi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He talks about the concept of money and the mindset and why that certain mindset actually limits you to actually reach great wealth. We are Christians, but he is a great friend of ours, mm-hmm. and we actually have benefited greatly from learning from him. And earlier I was talking about reading out loud.
Yes.
Some of his writing I read out loud just to get it into my ears.
Awesome. So it's called Thou Shalt Prosper?
Thou Shalt Prosper.
And what is his name?
Rabbi Daniel Lapin.
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 Awesome. And we'll have all that in our show notes page. So you guys can get to it easily. All right. So last question. So if you were unlimited, could not fail, what would you do?
Great question. I'm stepping toward that already. I will be speaking to dentists and the ones in China as well, supporting them to have a great practice, be a great leader for themselves and for the business they build.
Bam. Awesome. Dr. Pei, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with us and sharing your journey. I know that your journey definitely will, inspire possibilities, to everyone. Because I know there are so many, people that English is not their first language, for example, and allow that barrier to just not allow them to speak up, for example, right? To have a podcast or to have a blog or to be in front of a camera because they're afraid that people might just not take them seriously, or even just to, start a business as an immigrant, and so I really do appreciate your message, and I know that it will definitely change lives. So let us know how we can, support you, and how can people reach out to you.
We are at ReLaunchShow.com, and that's where we broadcast 3 times a week, and all our social media contacts there. Thank you so much for what you do and for what you inspire people. One of the great resources, if you're ever stuck, is to listen to this podcast, because I think by hearing other people's stories, you're gonna feel you are not alone, and you're gonna feel that if that's possible for that person, it's possible for myself.
There we go. You heard it. You heard it from her, not from me. So listen to the podcast, and and keep on getting inspired by amazing guides on this path to unlimited. Thank you so much, Dr. Pei.
Thank you.
If you love the podcast, please share with your friends, family, and coworkers. Make sure to subscribe to be notified when we launch a new episode, and help us spread this message of possibilities to millions by rating and reviewing us. And also, let's continue this conversation on tptunlimited.com or on Facebook, facebook.com/thepath-to-unlimited. Love you guys. Continue to accept compliments from everyone, limitations from no one.